guys, it's Chelsea, the wannabe Hecate. If you've seen my videos before, welcome back. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the moon in the different houses of the birth chart. So you're going to need to get your birth chart and see which section or house of your chart that your moon is in if you don't already know off the top of your head. My moon is in my 7th house. Now, the house that the moon is in your chart, the moon is the planet that represents our emotions, our inner world, how we deal with our emotions, whether we communicate them, wear them on our sleeve or something, or if we hide them behind a shell, if we're very reserved. That's all going to be in our moon sign, and then in our moon house. Depending on the moon's house, we see how we go about seeking emotional satisfaction. The house that the moon is in your chart is going to represent the area of life where you need to make deep attachments and not temporary superficial ones. The house that your moon is in can also tell you about how you handle your emotions, and like I said before, if you're going to be very expressive with them or if you're going to be more reserved. So without further ado, you know what house your moon is in? I'm going to put the times down in the description. It's going to say first house, second house, third house. So you can go to your respective house and see what I've got to say, and then you can comment and be like, oh my gosh, Chelsea, oh my gosh, wannabe Hecate, that is me. And I'd be like, let's go. If you have your moon in your first house, the house of self, the house of expression, how you put yourself out into the world, you're going to be very intuitive when it comes to other people, and when it comes to expressing yourself, you're very imaginative, since the moon kind of also rules over your imagination, your subconscious. If you have your moon in your first house, you're going to wear your heart on your sleeve probably, since that house is all about self-expression. You're going to express your feelings. They're not going to stay inside of you behind a shell, unless of course you have something else aspecting in your chart that makes you do that. Moon in first house people wear their heart on their sleeve, so they can have a tendency for very emotional reactions. They can be very sensitive, a little moody. They maybe take things too personally sometimes. If you have moon in your first house, your home and your family probably mean a lot to you. You have to be very careful not to let your emotions overpower your reason and your logic. You have to find a balance between the two of them. You just need emotional stimulation and like freedom to express yourself, and you're Gucci, you're good. If you have your moon in your second house, the second house is going to be money, material values, possessions, what you value in general. Having the moon there is going to make your financial affairs probably fluctuate a lot. At times you're very wasteful with spending, and at times you can be kind of frugal, like, oh no, I need to save money. Moon and second house people always tend to have a collection of some sort. They like to collect things. The second house is ruled by Taurus, which is an earth sign. And so that makes the moon in the second house not very outwardly emotional or outwardly expressive when it comes to emotions. These people are going to tend to hold back and wait before they express themselves. They have a pretty tight rein. If you have moon in second house, you might have words of affirmation as a love language. You might depend on others a lot for positive feedback. Sentimental things from your past are very valuable to you with moon in second house. Going back to how I said they usually collect things, those two things kind of go hand in hand. Moon in third house people, the house of communication, you're going to think very emotionally. You have a very strong imagination. You probably have a good memory and overall decent common sense. Moon in third house people tend to have talents for either imitating other people or picking up languages, or, both. These people don't really like routine. They tend to travel a lot. The third house does rule over short trips. The cool thing about moon in third house, since it's the house of communication, you're very comfortable communicating your feelings with other people, and because you're able to do that, it makes them very comfortable communicating their feelings with you in turn. Moon in third house people are almost always going to base their decisions on like their emotions or just like what feels right. Moon in the fourth house, the house of childhood, family, your parents, makes you very invested in your family. You're very protective of them. You probably have really strong attachments to your past or your heritage. Your mother specifically usually has a very strong influence when it comes to moon in the fourth house. Moon in fourth house people may change their residence a lot and move around frequently in their life. They may also like to live near water because the fourth house is ruled by Cancer, which is a water sign, and it is ruled by the moon, which rules oceans. When it comes to facing up to reality, moon and fourth house people can be a little stubborn. What they truly want in life is a sense of belonging, but they have to realize that it must be worked on from the inside out and not the outside in. Instead of trying to manipulate their environment, they have to work on an inner struggle to achieve that first. If you have moon in fourth house, you also either are already or may become a very devoted parent, since it is the house of parents and family. Moon in 5th house, the house of creative pleasures, is going to make you very impulsive when it comes to love. You are probably very romantic and have a creative imagination. You probably tend to follow your heart more than your head. The 5th house is ruled by Leo, so when you have your moon there, you may have a flair for the dramatic. This house also rules children, artsy things, creativity, so if you have your moon there, you probably like kids and get along really well with them. You may work with them. You're artistic, you may have a lot of different hobbies or just change them very frequently. Moon in 5th house people daydream a lot. They can be very emotionally expressive. Since, like I said, the 5th house is ruled by Leo, and Leo is a very expressive sign. The crux with Moon in 5th house people is that they can be overprotective or possessive. Moon in 6th house, the house of work, routine, your health, your day-to-day affairs, is going to give you a drive to be very useful, very organized, and on top of things. The 6th house is the house of service, so when you have your moon there, you show affection for others in very practical ways. You like to solve problems for them and help them out. Moon in 6th house people are very sympathetic. They're always willing to help someone out and be of service. Since it's also the house of work, they may change jobs a lot until they find the one that really fits them the best. They're very sensitive, and since the 6th house also rules over your health, they can be very aware of like minor aches and pains in their body. The crux with Moon in 6th house people is that they tend to try to like fix or like improve other people's lives if they think that they can like help out. It's because they love you and they want to be of service to you, and they're like, oh, I know how to fix this, but then they kind of overstep the boundary. If your moon is in your 7th house, this is going to be the house of partnership, one-to-one relationships. This makes you very drawn to partnerships in general. You probably prefer to have a companion or a significant other. Security is just very important to Moon and 7th house people, and they seek that emotional security through having a relationship. In this way, they can maybe have a lot of different relationships in their life. They're very likable and adaptable people. Doesn't necessarily mean you'll have a lot of romantic relationships though. It also just means like in general, you have a lot of like friendships. People with Moon in the 7th house have a very large group of friends that they'll tend to refer to as like their family. They depend on those people a lot for emotional support. They can just tend to be unsure of themselves without a partner. Like I have Moon in my 7th house, and I tend to want to like just double check with someone and be like, this is the right thing to do, right? Like I'm making a good decision here. Sometimes Moon and 7th house people will marry someone who resembles their mother or father a lot, whether that be like in appearance or just in behaviorisms, how they act. They could also become popular with the public at some point in their life. If your moon is in your 8th house, this is a very interesting and enigmatic house to have the moon in, since it rules transformation and rebirth, but also really random and weird things like inheritance, taxes, death, the only certain things in life. When your moon is there, you tend to want closeness, but you may have issues with trusting other people. Once you do trust someone, you are intensely loyal to them, almost to the point of being possessive with the people you love. You're probably interested in questions about death, the afterlife, anything considered occult or taboo, because all of those things are ruled by the 8th house. You may even have psychic ability or guide others in a spiritual way if your moon is in the 8th house. The 8th house is ruled by Pluto, which is a very mysterious and strange planet. So having your moon there gives you this very enigmatic force to constantly challenge yourself and reinvent yourself. You're very drawn to pushing your own limits. Moon in 9th house, this is the house of higher education, philosophy, travel, like abroad, foreign cultures. You're expanding your world and your mindset. When your moon is here, your mind is very receptive, very open and broad. You need more than just a mundane everyday routine. These people are very philosophical, very curious. They're attracted to the unknown. They have a very heightened ability to understand and identify with a lot of different kinds of people from all different kinds of backgrounds. Moon and 9th house people tend to become restless if they don't have a set goal that they're always working towards. Or when they get sad or they get really upset, they may find themselves just wanting to get away from it all and just get very far away from the situation. They just have this like craving for far away things. If your moon is in your 9th house, you may work with history or the past, or you may travel a lot in your life. Moon in 10th house, the house of career, public image, recognition, it's going to give you a strong emotional need for achievement. You may change your goals or your career a lot until you find the right fit for yourself, much like Moon in 6th house people, which is the house of work. This is the house of career. Potato, potato. Moon and 10th house people tend to work very well with the public. They may be involved with them in their career. They also invest a lot of their emotional energy into their career more than they invested into like having a private life. Since this is the house of public image, Moon and 10th house people tend to worry a lot about their own public image or living up to some kind of image. They have to learn to set their own goals and not adopt the expectations of others, but rather maintain their own definition of success. If your moon is in your 11th house, this is the house of friendships, community, group involvement. You're going to have a strong need for support and a feeling of belonging with your friends. You're very emotionally intuitive though. You probably have a very easy social charm and are good at making those friends. You have a lot of dreams and wishes for the future because those are also ruled by the 11th house, but you may change them a lot with your moon being there. You may be involved in a lot of groups and community activities since those things are ruled by the 11th house. People with moon in their 11th house tend to treat their friends as family because they just need people outside of their physical family to relate to. If your moon is in your 12th house, this is going to be another very mystical and enigmatic house, kind of like the 8th house, because it rules over karma, self-undoing, secrets, and dreams, things like that. So when your moon is there, your emotional world, it makes you very sensitive and receptive to other people. You may need solitude and time away from others a lot in order to recharge yourself emotionally. When it comes to the 12th house, it's like there's no gray area. You're either at one extreme or another. So when the moon is here, you're either very easily hurt or you just hide all of your feelings. You can either feel very flooded with emotions or you might just feel kind of out of touch with what you're feeling. The people who have their moon in their 12th kind of feel like their own feelings are an enigma to them. It's kind of hard to understand. But these people do very easily identify with the underdog or the oppressed, and they want to help those people a lot. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say about your moon house. I hope it resonated with you. Let me know what you thought. Let me know where your moon is. If you guys ever have questions about something I said in a video that you didn't understand, or you have questions about personalized tarot or astrology work for me, please feel free to comment or send me a direct message or an email. All of my inboxes are open, so please don't be afraid to reach out. I have made some cool friends doing tarot work through email, and I would love to keep doing that. Thank you guys for watching this, and thank you for supporting me. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do. Please tell your friends about me. Let them know that I make cool videos. My goal is to just reach a wider audience in case my words or my findings or things like that can help other people. I'll be back soon with more videos, and yeah, I'm so bad at endings. Love you, bye!